very good morning once again, and you're still watching Sunrise at Sea here on CTV. My name is Agi Owase. Welcome to Twitter Jabs 2, and we are continuing the conversation in regard to World No Tobacco Day. Now, this particular day was set aside on every 31st of May annually. We observe the World No Tobacco Day in a bid, to highlight the risks that are associated with tobacco smoking and how it can be detrimental to the health of every individual on the planet, as well as the environment. And this year's theme is Protect the Environment. And also the World Health Organization did note that every year over 8 million people die due to tobacco effects. And joining me at the center of this conversation to give us more insight in regard to this day and how it will be commemorated, not just in the entire, rather observed, not just in the entire world, but in this country as well, is Dr. Hasfa Lukwata Sentongo, who is the Acting Assistant Commissioner, Mental Health and Control of Substance Use at the Ministry of Health. Good morning, Doctor, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, good morning, Agi. It's just a pleasure being here for the first time in this studio. I'm happy that we are part of you as we celebrate or as we observe the World No Tobacco Day today.
Well, we are happy to see you today. And to start with, I'd like to ask you, what is the significance of World No Tobacco Day to a country like Uganda?
Okay. Yes, thank you, Agi. And yes, it is very, very, very important because of the dangers that tobacco gives to the country or even to the world over. It is known in health that tobacco is one of the leading causes of ill health, both non-communicable diseases but also communicable diseases. So for that matter, and we are seeing lots of these, as a country, Uganda, we are a third world country, we are a poor country, so many of our conditions are mainly or have initially been communicable diseases that can be passed on, things like diarrhea, things like coughs and, malaria, and those diseases with vectors and what, like you get, they are communicable, they can easily be passed on. Unfortunately, lately, we are seeing a shift in this. We are also seeing rising numbers of NCDs, the non-communicable diseases, and unfortunately, one of the major causes, one of the root causes of these non-communicable diseases is actually tobacco. So as a country, we identified already that we need to prevent our shift or our strategy is in prevention. So we need to prevent anything that causes ill health. Otherwise, if we do not, then the numbers will escalate. And when they escalate, of course, there will be no development at all. We have very little money. So if we spend all of it in treatment, then we're not doing ourselves anything. We shall not be left with any for development. So as a country, we need to come up and look at all the things that cause disease in this country, and one of the most important ones is tobacco.
Oh, yes. We also do understand that you are part of the anti-shisha smoking in this country. When it comes, and this was spearheaded by the Kampala Capital City Authority. What would you want to say about that, especially in, the growing, shisha smoking numbers in Kampala, bars and, city centers, every other place?
Yes. We as Ugandans, I think, I don't know, we like copying. We copy everything. And unfortunately, it is the bad things that we want to copy so much. There are so many good things that are happening out there, but we don't pick on those. And unfortunately, we're picking on the bad ones. Yeah. So tobacco, shisha use has not been our tradition. There are some countries which actually take shisha, and it doesn't have to be tobacco. They usually do it as a home thing, and they smoke their other things, other than tobacco. That is the Middle East mainly. That is where it is happening traditionally. They use these things, but there's been this move by the industry. The industry tries out always. So the fact that there's a bit of smoking into it, so the industry has also tapped into that and used it as a way of catching those people who traditionally use shisha. And what they've done, actually, it's not even called shisha in those countries. It has other names. I hear there's hookah, there's what, there are different. Yes, there are other names. Yeah. Yes. So now the industry has jumped into that just to hook people. So, and one of the ways they've done it here, at least they're introducing the shisha, bring it in form of like a fashion. It's an in thing,
It's a cool thing.
It's a cool thing, exactly. It's a cool thing, and now you know, they've added the tobacco. Yes. And unfortunately, the young girls, especially those in university, have actually picked the vice. And unfortunately, again, they do not know that this thing actually contains tobacco and also contains other substances, because there's where we found, I think it was an Eritrean hotel somewhere in Munyonyo. We found they had mixed so many things. You know, they have quite a number of flavors. They have strawberry, they have what? So it is a bit like, it has a good smell, but they also add other things. They add marijuana, by the way. They can even add cocaine for those people who may, you know. Yes, so it is dangerous. I mean, it is dangerous. First of all, even the tobacco that they add is too much, because we know that for one puff of shisha, actually, it's as if you've smoked 100 sticks of cigarettes. So, in other words, it's even more dangerous. But somehow people do not know. And they're taking it as if it's something so cool and easy, and as if they're taking a cup of tea, you know. So, for me, we are coming out as a country and telling people that actually we even banned it. We have a law. We have the Tobacco Control Act of 2015, and this one bans all these products, all these innovations that the industry is trying to come up with. We've banned shisha, we've banned the e-cigarettes, we've banned those other electronic nicotine delivery systems, anything that has flavors and so on. So we've banned all those things because they're just out there to entice or pull on the young people to actually start using tobacco.
Now, this act and this bill of 2015, the anti-tobacco bill, I remember back in the day when it was enacted, KCCA, then also the National Environment Management Authority, in line with law enforcement officers, did raid a few bars, you know, confiscate the shisha pots and also arrest the management of those particular bars. But it only happened for like a week or two, and then it was normal. So what happened? Because
yeah, Aggie, you know, as a country, we may not have enough money, or we may not be having enough money to sustain a campaign or to sustain an operation which will take forever. But what we are trying to do, we are mainly, actually when we first did it, they were telling us, no, you educate people, you tell them about the dangers, you tell them, you do not start off with, you know, having these operations and putting people and detaining people. So we said, okay, fine, let's do that. So every year, and actually Kampala, capital city, then put up a campaign, the Kampala smoke-free, a smoke-free Kampala, no smoking in Kampala. Yes, they gave out a lot of information and were telling people. Unfortunately, this project actually ended, but I think information went out. So for us as a Ministry of Health, of course, we are working with the different government departments, like the local governments and so many others. NEMA, we work with NEMA, work with Office of the Prime Minister and so many others. So what we are trying to inform people is these things are all dangerous, and once it is in the law, then it has to be enforced. Yes. So when we go out, when like recently, yesterday, I think it was the other day, we went out and actually cracked. What unfortunately happened is that there's a network. They know themselves there's a network of bars that are using this shisha. So like once you catch one side, then the whole other side will know that, okay, now
they communicate.
They communicate and somehow put away all their things. Yes, that happened the other time when we were there. But we managed to pick again. So we are just like dropping, but we are going to change strategy also. So like we go in at the same time to all places that we shall have seen having like these shisha pots. And we are putting them to court. Actually, we took people to court. If you found guilty, which happens because we catch them red-handed, if you're found guilty, they charge you 190,000 Uganda shillings. That is an individual. But if it's a company, you'll be charged 480. Yeah, but now we're asking the courts, the judicial system, to help us using that. I think there's a certain law that talks about the polluter pays. So yeah, that they should also provide money to destroy those products, because it's not easy. Those shisha pots are really the steel and whatever. So the way the destruction can be a bit hectic. So we want them to pay for the destruction of this equipment as well. And we are also passing on information that let people listen. I mean, why do we have to come and enforce? It's just about compliance. I was in a certain country and they had banned smoking in their public places. So like hotels, initially they used to smoke in their hotels, it was okay. But lately, like it had been stopped. And somehow they had complied. You enter a hotel and there's no smoking. They will tell you clearly, no smoking in this place. And there are no designated smoking areas. So somehow it's easy for people to comply in other countries. But for me, my problem is people are not complying. in the Ugandan.
Can we say Ugandans are very adamant when it comes
to...
I
think so, and I don't know why. I think we can be adamant on certain issues, but when it comes to health, really, I think we need to pay attention, because tobacco does not only affect young people or even the elderly only, it's a whole life cycle thing. You know, it affects everyone, wherever it catches you at any time. It's so dangerous. The reason we are protecting the young people is that they will have for them, their time will be much longer. Their exposure to this tobacco will be much longer. So we don't want it to happen to them. We want it to extend. We want to extend their exposure to these dangerous products a little later.
Yes.
You know, because yes, we are all aging. We all have to die. But how is your quality of life? How will you live? Once you get an illness when you're 20, 30, that's too young. You will not develop. You will not contribute to the development of this country. So that's why we need to protect these people, and that's why we want to enforce these laws. And I'm calling upon all local governments to actually up their game. I'm calling upon the hotel owners. It is something so easy. You will not lose a lot of money. You don't gain a lot of money, because these people actually, you're just causing them illness. You're not helping them.
Yes.
It's just a very little time when they're having that pleasure, but the rest of the time will be in tears.
Okay. Now briefly, some people have argued that, this tobacco does even contribute, the source of revenue, revenue to the country in one way or another. Tobacco manufacturers, as well as those who, the tobacco farmers as well, even people in bars. So how does this, how would you weigh in regard to that it's a source of revenue in one way or another?
Well. Yes, it's a source of revenue, but it's not the only source. The beauty is we have alternatives. All those people, the retailers that are selling these cigarettes, also have all other things to do. They have the sweets, they have sugar, they have salt, they have all those other things, the basic home needs that can be sold in those shops. So like, even if they put off tobacco anyway, even if they put off the cigarettes, they would not lose a lot. Actually, I have an auntie who used to sell cigarettes because it was something that was available for sale, But when I told her about the dangers, she said, "No, you mean I'm contributing to the death of people?" I said, "No, I can't." She said, "I can't do this anymore." So she put off the cigarettes on her. And she said, "But I've never got losses because I removed cigarettes off my shelf." So this business of they're giving us money, it is not true. Even at the national level, they are not. Their contribution lately has really reduced. Actually, if anything, they're supposed to give us even much more. They are fleecing us. These industries are very scrupulous. They're not giving us what they're supposed to give us. Actually, one time the president was asking them, how much money do you pay a farmer? How much is 1 kilogram of the tobacco leaf? And how many cigarettes do you get out of that 1 kilogram of tobacco leaf? And when you do the mathematics, it's so terrible. It doesn't work. They get a lot more, I think it was 17 million times more money than the farmer themselves, or even the government, the revenue they're giving to government. But even, unfortunately, again, when they cause disease, the amount of money used to treat those diseases is much more than actually the money they are giving as revenue. So the net gain is in the negatives. There's no gain at all. We're in the negatives. Yes. So this crap about income, it's not true. It is not right. It is not rightly thought out. It is just people using it as an excuse, yes, and a way to keep selling these dangerous products. And unfortunately, when people are addicted, they will spend irrespective of how much.
That is true.
Yes.
That is so true.
So the need will be there. The need will continue to be there. But we want to see to it that at least we form some restrictions. We do not want to have new cases. Let's have the old one. Let the old ones who are already hooked continue with their thing. But let us not introduce the new young people, into smoking and using tobacco. Okay,
now let's talk about in regard to mental health. To what extent has tobacco substance abuse in this country caused mental illness, especially to the youth?
Okay, now for me, my point of reference will be in Butabika. In 2018, there was a study that was made for most of the people that were attending the mental health clinics in Butabika. Actually were using tobacco. It was up to was it 47% of the people who were attending the mental health units were actually using tobacco. But we also know in science that this tobacco, there's a way it destroys the fabric of the brain, like it crosses the brain barrier, the nicotine in there, there's a way it destroys the cells within the brain. So there's a very direct linkage between tobacco use and mental illness. And many times, unfortunately, many times people take it thinking that they're going to get better. Someone who has depression will take this thinking that it will make them calm up. You know, someone who is depressed, really, their moods are very low and what. So when they take this, they sometimes imagine that it will excite them a little bit and you know, they become a bit better. And unfortunately, it's even pushing them further. It's even pushing them further because the mechanism under which tobacco works is the same way that depression actually makes it worse. So somehow there's a worsening of conditions, but then there's also the destruction of cells within the brain that is directly linked to tobacco use.
Yes.
So as in mental health, we are very mindful of substances that cross the blood-brain barrier because they will definitely cause a mental disorder. Yeah.
There's been an argument that, you know, some particular substances act as medicine. Yes, and they are recommended even by health workers, even in hospitals as well. So I would like to know from you, are there any legal substances that you know people out there can use as medicine and that are approved by the Ministry of Health?
Oh, yes. I know where you're coming, or you're trying to push me into.
No,
yes, there are some medicines. I mean, all medicines actually can be disastrous. Many are, by the way. Like if you're taken in heavy doses and, you know, very high doses are not regulated, they can cause illness. But there are those that, most of them do that. So that's why we have doses, like you take one a day or two or twice or 1 times 3, that kind of thing. So all medicines are like that. However, there are some substances, for instance, let me use very clearly, I think what you want to hear is cannabis. Cannabis, in its pure form, can be used as a painkiller, and mark my word, pure form. Not
pure
this
form.
Not this kwara that you pick from the garden and then you put in your tea. It will cause it has a pure part of it, but it also has so many impurities in it. And it's the impurities that are very dangerous. What the Bazungus do, those that are taking it, they actually remove some of these impurities that are very disastrous to other organs of the body. So yes, there are some medicines. There's cannabis that can be used as a painkiller, but in another form, not the raw form that we take it in. So for us as Ugandans, we are taking it and saying, it's okay, we feel high. What? Yes, you feel the high, but the side effects that are in there are going to cause you disease. They're going to cause you disease. And unfortunately, it is addictive. It is addictive that even when you don't have the pain, you just want to take it because of some of the effects that you have, that you get when you take it or when you don't take it. Because they have the withdrawal signs, they have those, when the urge comes, you know, it is the effects of that urge, the headache that you can get, the muscle pains, the abdominal pain, you know, the sweatiness, someone is not, you know, is not settled, that feeling makes you want to take, and once you take, you feel better. So that is the addiction. So once you're addicted, you'll want to take it even when you don't need it. This is what I'm saying. So these medicines should be protected. And yes, we are saying, let us protect the medicines and not use these. Most of the cannabis is non-medical. They're using it as in a non-medical way. When it is medicine, let it be. But if it is not, kindly do not start with it.
So when this medicine is prescribed, do you get it from the health workers or it can be gotten anywhere else in Kampala?
Okay, so most of the medicines that we try to protect, actually, tobacco is not a medicine. Let me put that right, because we are discussing tobacco today. Tobacco is not a medicine. It has no use whatsoever. It is one product which is sold without any usefulness in it. That's why the whole world is coming out to ban tobacco. It is just being pushed to us because of the barons, the traders, the industry. They've always gotten money out of it, so they want to push it. They don't want to put it away. So with tobacco, we do not even want to discuss. It is not a medicine. It is not a precursor of anything. We do not need it into this planet. However, there are some medicines that can be used, some drugs that can be, some herbs that can be used as medicines, but those herbs can also become dangerous into mental health. So for us, we need to have a dividing line, and that's the reason why we have the prescriptions and saying that let's give it for this time. It doesn't have to be given for a very long time. It's given for a short time. And once it doesn't work, then the person is moved from it onto another. Yes. So there's a way the scientists come up with ways of protecting the people, even if we are giving a very dangerous substance that we know, but if it has a usefulness in it, we'll just regulate it and see how to just help the person to manage their condition at that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap up the conversation, there's been people, and especially bar owners in this Kampala city, who have talked about, you know what, this law on tobacco is very selective. There are certain bars that are always raided, and then there's a section of bars in Kampala that are never ever raided. So they talked about, if it's to be put into effect and for it to be effective, then it should be, you know, universal. It shouldn't be about certain bars, you know, being banned and others not. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think that's just someone's excuse. They're just using it as an excuse for as long as you're breaking the law. In Uganda, we have that. So if you're the thief, you should just keep quiet and you'll be the thief. If you know another person who is doing it, let us know. Let us know. Let us each be a policeman of the other. Let us know about it, then we shall go there. By the way, we have gone to big people's places.
Homes?
Not homes, the establishments in town. I know we went into a certain place and they were telling us, I'm going to mention this, MK team, come on, where are we?
Goodness.
And later we found that it was a big person's place, but we had raided it and we picked all the shisha bars, all the shisha pots that were in there. I don't know whether it was all, because we even found some in suitcases. There were some cases, big cases that they had kept their things in there. So we removed all of them. So if we can get that one, then how about any other? So it's just a matter of telling us. And actually we were followed by one of the politicians again. We were followed by one of them and said, how can you raid my place? I'm a number 4 in this country. How do you do this? I think you've seen, I think the media will put this out. So it was so hopeless. I told him, if we have removed even number 2 and we can even remove from number 1. Number 1 gave us a go ahead to actually raid everyone. So you have no excuse at all. So if you know of a place where we have not gone, kindly let us know. Just tip us, we shall go and pick those shisha pots.
Okay, finally, Doctor, we'd love to get your final remarks in regard to World No Tobacco Day that is observed today and how it will be observed today in Uganda.
Yes, thank you very much. Agi, thanks very much for this opportunity you have given us. Today we are observing the World No Tobacco Day, and the theme is Tobacco, a Threat to Environment. And we are celebrating it in Entebbe, in Kitoro Leisure Park. Whoever is in those areas and they're listening, kindly walk in there. We have we are going to pick cigarette butts from the different bars that are around Kitoro. I'm sure there are quite a number of them. We're going to pick, and we actually show the world that people have continued to smoke in public places despite the Tobacco Control Act of 2015. So we're going to bring it to their attention that these things are there. And unfortunately, there's a problem also with the butts. Those butts have some chemicals in them, but they also are non-degradable. They're not biodegradable. So if someone drops it on your farm or wherever, that thing will remain there for a very long time. It will not biodegrade. So you can it makes your soils very unproductive or infertile, so you will not have good crops, and they block the drainages. So as a city in Entebbe, we want to bring to their attention that some of the things that are blocking up drainages are actually some of these tobacco products, the remains of the tobacco products. So we are celebrating it, that we are celebrating the day. We are going to march within Chitoro, and then we shall gather thereafter and have, I'll tell them about the law. I'll tell them the different provisions that are in the law. And then other people are also going to talk about the dangers of tobacco and so many other things. And I imagine there's going to be a question and answer session. So those people who may have questions will have some of their things answered.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us and for that insight in regard to World No Tobacco Day.
Thank you.
Well, that has been Dr. Hasfa Lukwata Sentongo, and she is the Acting Assistant Commissioner, Mental Health and Control of Substance Use at the Ministry of Health. Well, right now I'll be connecting with Priva, who is at the Uganda Matters Shrine in